Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me today. We're going to review the reflective journal that is due. If you noticed, due date changed, and the reason for the change was because of the big ASW crash that we had this past Monday. So didn't have time for me to go over the reflective journal as planned on Monday because I needed Canvas to open up the rubric and to open up the document with the expectation to prompt. I don't save them on my computer. I upload everything to Canvas, and then we had the crash. So I thought I can't record if I don't have access to Canvas. So here we are in a take two. Um, Hope this video will help you navigate yourself through this assignment. This is a very This is a very tough task, I should say. And the reason being is that you're only required to have one page of reflection. Your complete file will have 3 pages. In APA, whenever you hear a page length, it is not talking about your overall page. It is talking about the page that you are only required to write. So in this case, you are required to write a one-page reflective paper, but your file will have 3 pages because your first page will be your title, and your third page will be your references. Second page being the reflection portion of it. So I am asking you to get to the meat, get to your point, and don't give me any other information that's not asked about. My advice is always to read the instructions, make sure that you are understanding what the requirement is. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I usually get to the emails right away. That has been my common practice for a very long time, and that has a lot to do with me being as a student. When I email my professors and I need something because I'm working on it and I have a question, they don't get back to me. It really frustrates me. So now that I'm in this role, I want to make sure that I get back to you as soon as I can. So I'm going to begin sharing my screen. I'm going to open up our Canvas course shell. I'm going to show you how to navigate to the assignment so you are aware of it. Again, keep in mind that there is an extension. I will talk to you about the extension, the due date, and the requirements for it. So when you go to our Canvas course shell, if you are in my section 3 fully online, this is pretty much what mine looks like. Mine looks a little bit different than yours. In your to-do, you should have these assignments. In mine, I have the blue one, which tells me what I need to grade. So navigate to the modules. I like to close the modules as we're going through. You go through to module 10, that is this week. You'll see reflective paper. If you are in my section 6 in-person class, I made the extension. So for my 03 section, I'm going to make that extension now. So it was originally due this coming Saturday. And again, because of the shutdown and because we are now on Thursday, October 23rd, doesn't really give you much time to, one, watch the video, two, watch the movie that's associated with the reflective journal, and then three, gather your thoughts, get your outline going and whatnot. So I'm going to move the due date for November 2nd, which is a week from this Sunday, not Saturday like traditionally, but rather on Sunday. The only drawback to that, though, is that it's going to take me a little bit longer to grade and longer for you to get your feedback. So just keep that in mind. So the change has been made in your calendar. You probably should see that change right away. So for this reflective journal, I'm asking you to watch the movie, An American Crime. It was available on Netflix. Not sure what the status of that is now, but it is on YouTube. So when you hit the link, it should navigate you to YouTube. If it doesn't open, then YouTube is requiring you to log in. And that is because this is an R-rated movie, so you need to be at least the age of 17 to watch it. As you can see, I am logged in. My computer is set up. Once I hit YouTube, it automatically logs me in. So once you log in, the movie comes in. It is an hour and 33 minutes with 34 seconds, so please plan accordingly. The disclaimer of this movie is that it can be very triggering. It can be very provoking to any past experience that I know I had when I first watched this movie. It was really hard to watch. It took me a couple of days to watch it in its entirety because I had to keep stopping it and going back and then thinking to myself, This is hard to watch. This is based on a true story. It's not inspired by a true story, which is very different. This is an actual true story. So again, be conscientious of the time and make sure you plan accordingly. So when you navigate back to the assignment, pretty much tells you what the purpose of this is. And throughout the semester, you've been required to to watch reflective videos, to read the chapter. And if you've had any conversations with me, we've engaged in conversation about child development in the field. So for this assignment, I'm asking you to write a reflective journal for credit. Please keep in mind, this is not a diary, which means you are not writing as if you would open up a diary and just write freely. This is a 4,000 level course. In a 4,000 level course, upper division, you are required to use a university database for research, apply theories or provide a theoretical perspective, and use APA format. This assignment covers those 3 points for this class. So pretty much what I'm asking you to use is the book. You're using the book to pick a type of abuse from chapters 3 to 6, which focus on children. The movie does talk about Sylvia, who is a child at the time. You can talk about physical abuse, you can talk about sexual abuse, neglect, or psychological maltreatment, whichever you prefer to use. You are going to provide me with the definition based on the book, and then you are going to use the university database to find a theory, and then we'll get back into those requirements. The paper, the format of the paper, that's what we are going to do together here. It is margins 1 inch all around with 12 font size, Times New Roman with 2.0 line spacing without adding or removing space before or after the paragraph. At least 3 references in the reflection and a cover page. No more than 1 page. This is going to be a challenge, like I said, but it's completely doable. On the assignment, if you scroll down, you do have a sample of the formatting of the paper, not the content, just the format. But we're going to do that together. So what I am going to ask you to do is open up a Word document. I have mine ready, but I'm going to open up a new document so we can go through the process together. And I am going to pretty much split up my screen. This is what I like doing when I am researching because I just find it to be a little bit more useful as I am reading something, writing, reading, writing. This is just my way of doing it. I am using a Mac ProBook. If you're using other devices, it might be a little bit different. So here's my preference. So first, what I am going to do is I am going to click right above into the header, double click, and it automatically takes me there. So this is a header. An APA is required. Your header needs to be a condensed title of your original title, right? My advice to you is, and this is what I always like to do, is put the name of the assignment. The name of this assignment is Reflective Journal, and it's number 1. Once you've done that, make sure that you insert a page number. Let me move my windows. Let me make my a little bit bigger. Insert page number, justify it to the right, and I got it done. So the first thing here that we need to do is we need to change this to Times New Roman. Again, in my MacBook, it automatically defaults into a different font. So I need to make sure that it's Times New Roman. When I'm grading, because this is APA required, it is on the rubric. If this is not Times New Roman, it stands out like a sore thumb. I'm not doing it to catch you on a mistake. I'm doing it because if you look at my paper and this paper, it's a very different font. So please make sure that you do change that font. So I'm going to change it to Times New Roman, and it's changed. The page number is there, so I'm good to go. Then I just click out of it and I'm back into my body. I'm going to hit enter 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to write the full, name of the assignment. Give me one quick second, Jessica. Okay, sorry about that. I paused the recording. I'm going to continue. Okay, so I am going to write whatever title I want to name this. So you are free to choose whatever title you want to give it. I'm going to focus on psychological maltreatment, so that is going to be my title. And I still have it a caps lock. Give me the heads up. Psychological maltreatment in my toxic Mexican culture. I'm not saying that Mexican culture is toxic. I'm talking specifically about my Mexican culture. After I've done that, I'm going to hit enter 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to write the name of the assignment. This does not go all caps. Reflective journal. After that, I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to put my name. So this is where your name goes. Student that's submitting it. Right after that goes the name of our university. We are not Cal State LA. We are California State University, comma, Los Angeles. For short, it is Cal State LA, but when you're writing your papers, AP format, the full name of the university is required. Below that goes the name of the class. We are Child Development 4120. Section 3, if you are an online student. Section 6, if you are my in-person student. Child abuse. And interpersonal violence. Oops. After that, gonna hit enter, and the due date has now been shifted to November, what did we say was? 2nd, 2025, and then after that goes my name. Okay, so once you've done that, this is pretty much your title page. I am going, again, to change the font because by default, it takes me to Aptos. Time New Roman, I am going to justify it to the middle. And there is my title page. Looks different than the sample. Don't forget, when you go to paragraph, make it 2.0. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter once, and I'm going to insert a page break, and it takes me to page 2. The very first thing you do is you write the title. I like using my shortcut, so I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, and then once I'm done with that, I am going to justify my paragraph to the left. And then I'm going to hit the indentation, and I'm going to begin. This is where your reflection comes in page 2. And again, you're only required to write 1 page. If you look at the instructions, this is pretty much gives you the expectation for the assignment, what you're required to do, right? It's not telling you what to write. It is telling you what the instructions, directions, expectations are for the assignment. We'll come back to the content. I'm going to hit insert again. I'm going to break the page, and I'm going to go to 3rd page. And this is where I'm going to plug in my reference. For this assignment, you are required to use 3 references. If you look at the sample on Canvas, I have the movie and I have the book. This is where I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste to make life easier. So if for whatever reason, when you, and a lot of the times when you copy and paste something, it doesn't give you the hanging indentation. I'll show you how to do that. It's usually like that. So what you want to do is you want to highlight when you want to format an APA, right click or double click, and then go to paragraph. You get this window. Go to where it says indentation, to special, and then hit hanging. Okay, and it gives you the hanging indentation. So I'll do it again on the other reference. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to highlight. I'm going to double click or right click. Go to paragraph, indentation, special, hanging. Okay, and there we go. And it's good to go. So you're required through at least 3 references. You need one more. This is where I would strongly encourage you to use your theory. Um, so what are your requirements? You are required to use the movie, which is on a reference, and you're required to use the book, which is in our reference. So let's go to the assignment and see what's the prompt. So this reflective journal encourages you to examine how child abuse and family violence affect children's development emotionally, socially, and cognitively, while considering how culture shapes families' roles, community responses, and definition of abuse. You will use an American crime as a case study to connect developmental theory with cultural understanding. So here's your prompt, and it's asking for you to really critically think and analyze what you watch, what you've read, what we studied, and put it into this reflective journal. So I'm asking you to use 3 lenses. If you're in my in-person class, we talk a lot about this every time, every lecture. We talk about your personal lens, your scholar lens, and your your scholarly lens, your cultural lens, and your societal lens. In this case, personal lens will come into societal just as much as cultural. So, emotional and personal reaction. What were your initial reactions to the film? Which part of the story affected you most deeply and why? How did the film challenge or affirm your own beliefs about childhood, family, and safety? So in this assignment, I am not asking you to write about your personal experience with child abuse. I am asking you to provide your perspective on what you saw in the film. Section 1 will be just about that. So this is your personal lens that I'm asking you to use. Again, keep this at an academic level. This is a 4,000 level course. It is required for you to write academically. I'm not asking you to go off and write something that you would share with a friend. I'm asking you to write something that you would share with your professor about your perspective on the film, connecting it to your personal lens. Section 2 talks about child development and the impact of abuse. So this is where you use your scholarly lens, right? Form a developmental perspective how might prolonged abuse and neglect affect a child's physical, cognitive, emotional, and social development. Identify at least one theory. For example, Erickson, Piaget, Bronfenbrenner, or Bowlby, which are, again, if you're in my in-person class, and we talk a lot about these theories, that help explain the behavior or outcomes of one of the children in the film. The main character of the movie is Sylvia. So that is a perspective that you would use. That is a child that you are focusing on. And this is where this is your theoretical connection. This is your academic or your scholarly lens. I like to use Bowlby or Ainsworth attachment theory because I think that theory can apply to all types of abuse and the prevalence of it. So if I'm writing this, I'm going with John Bowlby's attachment theory, and I'm going to talk about attachment theory. So mentioning a theory doesn't give me the definition of it. So this is where you have to define it real quick and simple. Attachment theory is an emotional bond established with the caregiver and the child. That's it. But I have to find this in the university database to provide that reference. And that's how I'm going to input it in the reference page of my reflective journal, which is the one that we're missing. Section 3 talks about family dynamics and cultural context. This is the cultural lens. What family or community factors allow the abuse to continue? You're more than free to talk about your own cultural experience. Please don't tell me in my culture, this is what happens, because I don't know what your culture is. I want you to tell me if you're going to talk about your culture in my Mexican culture or whatever culture you come from. Let me know what it is so I have an understanding of what it is. And give me a quick 1 to 2 sentence understanding of what are the common practices in your culture. For example, again, in my Mexican culture, it is very traditional for boys to be given specific gender roles. Like, for example, boys don't wash dishes, boys don't cook, but boys cut the grass. Boys are responsible for taking out the trash and doing the heavy duty lifting, not to do the other gender roles that are assigned in a very traditional Mexican culture like where I come from. Compare these with cultural norms from your own background, like the example I just gave you. How might your culture respond differently to similar signs of family violence? So, not asking you to write about your own experience. If you experience abuse, I am asking you to give me your perspective. How might your cultural respond talks about traditionally, not something that you would do. Again, this assignment can be very triggering if you get it, if you make it very personal to you. You are welcome to do that, but you are not required to do that. You should talk about your cultural background and the common practices as a holistic view of that culture, not necessarily individual. But if you feel that you want to write about that, you're more than welcome to do that. And then the fourth component is professional and ethical reflection. This is your theoretical connection. As a future child development professional, what responsibilities do you think practitioners have in identifying and responding to signs of abuse? What cultural sensitivities should be considered when supporting children and family in crisis? So, some guidelines, please write in first person. Focus on your analysis and reflection, not on summarizing the film. I'm not asking for you to tell me what the film was about. I am asking you to stick to these four areas for you to write on. Again, personal, scholar, cultural, and breaking abuse lens. Not a personal diary perspective. Draw connections to developmental theories, which will be your section 2 and section 4, and cultural frameworks discussed in class. If you are my online students, you can connect it to a video. One of the reflective videos we watched, especially Dr. Gabor Mate's, where he talks a lot about intergenerational trauma. He talks a lot about parenting and how parents can easily transmit abuse that they've experienced to their children without knowing that they're doing that. You may reference your own cultural experience if you feel comfortable doing so. You're not required to. Here's a disclaimer, academic integrity and AI use disclaimer. I always encourage students to use ChatGPT. However, please be mindful how you use it. And so here is my ChatGPT. If you're as a Cal State LA student, you have access to this. You can download the app, and I highly encourage you to use it. Sometimes, as you're writing a lot, you sort of get this block, right? You go into writer's block, and that's common, especially if you're writing a lot and you're researching a lot. What I encourage you to do is be interactive with the AI tool in a way that it's going to help you generate thoughts, not do the work for you. Those of you that attended my workshop yesterday, here's what I did. Here's other work that I've done where here's a question. So what's a good name for this workshop? Here's what I had. And then I asked, well, break this down for me, help me develop this workshop. And it gave me all these other things, good names for it. Refining a research question. Started off with, here's my, can you help me refine this research question? And then it gave me good suggestions, and then keep the conversation going. So again, I highly encourage you to use it. If you've never used it, explore with it, play around with it. And again, get interactive with it where it's giving you something, and then ask more specific questions so it can help you refine it. I want you to engage in critical thinking. I want you to get an emotional insight and cultural awareness through this, excuse me, through this assignment. So really dig deep into your feelings about this topic, your cultural lens about this topic. And again, in my very toxic Mexican culture, it's common to, well, I don't know about now, I never practiced it, but growing up, it was very common for us to get spanked whenever we did something wrong. This wasn't just my parents, this was my uncles and aunts, cousins. It was a very common thing to do when children misbehave, was to spank them, give them a good whooping, right? That's a cultural norm. That was a cultural norm. Again, I don't know what it is now, but I really want you to get insight into your culture and ask questions about it. If we're talking about breaking the cycle of abuse, what are some things that you question about your culture and common practices with child rearing into having children that have a better awareness of themselves, more in tune into their emotional development. Back to the AI, please don't ask it. Write a reflective journal, because it's very obvious when students write. I know your writing um, style based on your discussions, based on your definitions that you provided in the midterm. So if I read things, it's a red flag when there's certain language use. During the summer, I did do extensive workshops on AI, so I'm well versed in it. We do have various AI detectors that we plug in if we sort of feel like this wasn't written by a student, so let's plug it into the AI detector. Although those are not 100%, but it's really easy to connect certain words that are used in AI and certain words that students use. Also, Turnitin is a good AI detector because it'll flag pretty much anything that was plagiarized, although you might have cited it properly. If it was copied and pasted and cited, it's still considered plagiarized because paraphrasing is you telling me what you understood from that, but you're still giving credit to the source. So if there's any suspicions of AI, please be advised that this is considered academic dishonesty. Academic dishonesty should be reported to the university, and an extent consequence is being kicked out of the school. It's not worth it. Just do your work. And if you are going to use AI and you have to reference it, you can go back to our modules. You can go to our course expectation and policy, the second module. Go down to the AI statement. And on the AI statement, it pretty much tells you when it's okay to use AI and when it's not okay to use AI. It also tells you that if you're going to use AI, then you have to cite it. And here is the way of citing AI. It's a lot of work, too much of a hassle. Again, get interactive with it, use the tool, but don't have the tool do the work for you. So that's the expectation for it. When you come down to the rubric, and again, the rubric is going to pretty much be your guide into what you should include in the reflective journal. So grading for basis. Did you submit it in time? Did you meet the requirements? Is it one page? If it's not, you're going to get a 0 here. And the comment is going to be your reflective journal exceeds the page requirement length as expected. APA format, which is what we talked about, and I'll give you an example of how to do proper in-text citation right now. Type of abuse, this is what you use the book for. That's why we have it in the reference base page. So whatever type of abuse you're going to focus on, provide a definition for it. Scholarly lens, this is what you're using your application of child development theory. If you're not a child development major, in our class, if you're my in-person student, we've talked a lot about child development theory. If you're not my in-person student, feel free to use any theory that you like as long as you're citing it properly. Cultural lens, societal lens. You're going to be graded on grammar and syntax, so please make sure you're using proper sentences. Do not use contractions. By contractions is don't, won't, I've. You need to spell it out. Do not, would not, I have. Do not use slang. And again, this is not a diary. This is an academic paper that is submitted for grading. And if there's any detection of you using AI, then you're going to get a 0. Right? This is a high stake assignment. It's worth 100 points. So please make sure you take the time to dedicate the resources needed to fulfill this assignment and try to get as much work, as much of the points possible. Another disclaimer, please be advised that I will not accept any revisions for this assignment once the assignment is uploaded. I am under the assumption that it is ready for grading. On my end, I'll show you what I have. You don't see this, but this is the criteria that I have it set up. Submission type needs to be a file. It needs to be as a PDF. If it's not uploaded as a PDF by the due date and time, it will be an automatic 0. You're only allowed to submit the assignment once. So make sure that you're following the expectation for it. So don't upload it and then send me an email saying, oh, I forgot. I've had students that upload the syllabus, they upload any other file and think, oh, if I upload that, and then he's going to email me and tell me, hey, you know what, you uploaded the wrong file. I have time to continue working on it. Anything that's uploaded besides the reflective journal will be an automatic zero. Please be advised of that. Plagiarism review, it is under Turnitin. If once you submit it, usually your title page and your reference page will be flagged. Don't worry about that. I would be much more concerned with anything in the content on page 2. Whatever gets flagged, I can click on it and it'll tell me exactly where it was gone from. I can click on it and it'll take me to the website or the LML model that you use. So again, there's all these AI detections tools that we use as professors to make sure that students are doing the work and not having it done for them. The due date is November 2nd by 11:59, so the assignment is only available until that. If you do not submit the assignment by then, it'll be closed and you will get an automatic zero. It's not to scare you, just to give you a heads up into what the expectation is. Again, the assignment was due this coming Saturday, October 25th, but due to the Canvas shutdown AWS glitch, I shifted it over to November 2nd. Not on a Saturday, but on a Sunday, just to give you that additional time. So with our writing, here is a sample of one of the work that I'm doing. So here is the in-text citation. I paraphrase what Sullivan, the author, wrote in my own words. Here's the author, comma, and year. In APA, that's all you're required to do. And then when you come down to the reference section, you will see that here is the full citation. In APA, it is not encouraged for you to use direct quotations. Direct quotations should only be used if you are directly quoting the author with 4 or more paragraphs. You don't have the space in this assignment to do that, so everything needs to be paraphrased. There is no page numbers in APA. It's only the author's last name and the year. In the event that you have more than one author, APA says that if it's 3 or more authors, you only use the first author's last name, ETAL dot, comma, year of publication, and then on the reference, you list them all. So that pretty much sums everything up into what the expectation is. Again, if you go to modules, you're going to this week's modules, which is 10. You see your reflective journal. You see the due date, worth the points. It's due next week. I didn't want to move it to next week because if I move it for next week, then you don't have access to the assignment until Sunday. Today is Thursday, so you have all Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days to work on it, plus all next week to work on it. So I kept it there. That's where you submitted on module 10. So I hope this gives you good information into how to format your reflective journal into what you're going to be graded on. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to meet with me to give you more guidance and help, feel free to do so. Wish you the best of luck with this assignment, and I'm looking forward to reading. Have a good one.